Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother when he sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answered him, "Not 7, but 77 times, and began to tell a parable of the kingdom of heaven. He said, "There was a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants. One by one they were brought before him. Among them was a servant who owed him 10,000 talents, a sum so vast it could never be repaid. The servant trembled before the king, knowing that his debt meant the loss of freedom, his family, and his very life. The servant fell to his knees and pleaded, 'Have patience with me, and I will repay everything.' Tears ran down his face as he begged, knowing his words could never cover such an impossible debt. The king was moved with compassion, and against all expectation, he chose mercy over judgment. He forgave the man the entire debt and released him completely, as though it had never existed. The servant walked out of the royal court with joy, free from the crushing weight that had bound him. But as he left, the forgiven servant met a fellow servant who owed him 100 denarii, a small sum compared to his own debt. He seized him by the throat and demanded harshly, 'Pay me what you owe.' The man fell to his knees and begged, 'Have patience with me, and I will repay you.' His words echoed his master's mercy, but the servant who had been forgiven showed no mercy. His heart was hardened with anger and pride. He threw his fellow servant into prison until the debt was paid, blind to the grace he himself had received. Other servants saw what had happened and were deeply distressed at such cruelty and injustice. They went quickly to their master and reported all that had taken place between the 2 men. The king summoned the unforgiving servant back into his presence, his face filled with anger. "You wicked servant," he declared, "I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Should you not have shown mercy to your fellow servant, just as I showed mercy to you?" In his wrath, the king handed the man over to the jailers to be tortured until he could repay all he owed. Thus, the servant who had been forgiven so much was condemned because he refused to forgive a little. Then Jesus turned to his disciples and said, "So my heavenly Father will do to each of you, if you do not forgive your brother or sister from your heart with true mercy and compassion." The parable teaches us this: those who receive great forgiveness must also give it, for mercy is at the very heart of God's kingdom.